Right. I think we are already on. We are live. So I'll begin this session. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for joining us, and also I would love to apologize for the delay in starting this panel discussion. Um, I'll jump right into it. So this is our 86th panel, and we'll be talking to five amazing women from different walks of life who are going to answer a lot of our questions. Today's topic is custody of children and parental responsibility. Inspirational, visionary, bold, action-oriented, committed, and driven. These are just a few attributes that define the women who have joined us today to share their knowledge, skills, and experience related to our topic today. We have a child protection expert with us, we have a lawyer, we also have social worker with us. My name is Jocelyn Oboy Itorong. I'm a lawyer by profession, a humanitarian worker with extensive experience in human rights and protection. I'll be your moderator today. I want to start this discussion with a quick round of introduction, and I will start with Ms. Anna Michael. Ms. Anna, please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hello. Hi. Thank you, Jocelyn. My name is Anna Michael Hajik Shiros. And as already introduced, I'm in the child protection discipline as South Sudanese. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Anna Michael. We'll move to Ms. Christina Peter, sorry. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm by name Christina Peter Lukudu. I'm a lawyer by profession. I worked with the Ministry of Justice for some years, more than 6 years, in the Department of Legislation. And then I worked with one of the UN agencies for training and research, and I'm now practicing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christina. We'd move to Ms. Yar Makwe.
Okay. My name is Yar Makwe Manuel. I'm the mother that is fighting for her children. That's why I'm here today.
Thank you so much, Yar, for joining us today, and thank you for having the courage to come live to speak about your story. It actually takes a lot of courage to come out publicly. Thank you so much. We'll move to Ms. Nyamach Hothmai. Please introduce yourself to our viewers.
All right. Thank you, Jocelyn. My name is Nyamach Hothmai. I'm an environmentalist and somebody who knows YAR. And I'm really interested today, not just because of YAR, but to discuss this issue because I'm also a parent. And by coincidence, many of you may not know, I'm also from separated or divorced parents. So I feel this topic is to my heart today because I also know some issues that children with parents divorce, what we can face. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Namaj. We are supposed to have the fifth panelist, Honorable Sarah Nyanath. Is she here?
She's here. She's getting connected.
Okay. Sorry for that. We have some technical issues. We'll wait. I think we'll go ahead with the program and she will join us in the middle of this. So before we start the discussion, I would just like to give a brief background on this topic. Judith A. Kanyako, an associate at Ameli Inyangu and partner specializing in family law, intellectual property, and litigation, in her article titled Custody and Parental Responsibility in Kenya, which can be found on the website hg.org, stated that custody generally refers to parental rights and duties relating to the possession of a child. Custody can either be legal custody, which refers to parental rights and duties in relation to possession of a child, conferred upon a person by a court custody order or actual custody, which refers to the real possession of a child. Whether shared or not, legal and actual custody can either be joint custody or sole custody. I'll go ahead also to give a brief introduction of what parental responsibility means. So Judith also goes ahead and states that every child is entitled to parental care and protection under the Constitution. This includes equal responsibility of the mother and the father to provide for the child, whether they are married to each other or not. Parental responsibility refers to all the duties, rights, powers, responsibilities, and authority that a parent has towards their child and the child's property. Depending on the changing needs of the child, these duties include the duty to maintain the child and provide him with adequate diet, shelter, clothing, medical care, education, and guidance, as well as the duty to protect the child from neglect, discrimination, and abuse, and the right to give parental guidance in religion, moral, social, cultural, and other values. Parental responsibility also allows a parent to determine the name of the child, appoint a guardian for the child, and deal with the property of the child for the benefits and in the best interest of the child. With the absence of national, with the absence of national family law in South Sudan, women and children have limited legal recourse and access to justice. Legal matters pertaining to the family are currently governed by the customary justice, which often overlooks the rights of the women and children. A woman's right to choose her spouse, obtain a divorce, protect herself from domestic violence, custody of her children, and inheritance of marital property are just some areas restricted and dependent on the customs of traditional justice, which in most cases tend to be discriminating to the women. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. A new steering committee has been launched to drive development of a national family law to safeguard family matters and domestic relations. The Ministry of Gender, Children and Welfare, in partnership with South Sudan Women's Empowerment Network, has put forth a draft for a formal family law for South Sudan. We have some of our legal experts in the panel who will shed light on this, progress. With that introduction, I would start my first question, and it will go to Ms. Yar. Yar, thank you so much for having accepted this discussion. Yar, can you kindly brief us on what is going on with the custody of the children, if you don't mind, please?
I feel honored to be invited here today and to be part of this discussion. I'm happy that at least finally there are things, some forum like this are coming up for us to discuss some of these issues that are affecting us. I had a custody battle with the father of my children from 2019. That's when he actually moved to court and gotten a restraining orders from the Kenyan court in Tononoka in Mombasa. So from that time, I was given restraining orders because whatever he presented to court, and according to the Kenyan law, that one will automatically qualify me to be restrained from my children. And his reasons were that I was a drunkard, I got married, I looked with other men, that I was not at home, I left. And I know that time he came physically here to South Sudan and removed me from his house forcefully and returned me back to my parents' house. And that was the end for him. So he went now to Kenya and twisted the whole thing. So I went back to court and I challenged those restraining orders. I gave them part of my story and at least they were lifted. So I was given access to my children as we continued with the custody. So that is, and we went up to the judgment level, and you see the judge discovered that at the end of the day, when he went there, he didn't have any evidence of whatever that he was claiming. And as long as there was no evidence, those things were hearsays, and there was nothing that would stop me from having access to my children. But because of the schools that the kids were already in school at that time, and okay, we lost one of them in the process. He drowned actually It's something I'm still struggling with it right now. Yeah, we lost one of them, and then we're left with three. I was given one, the autistic child, because I was able to prove to court that this child was being abused at home, and he was put in a boarding school. If you guys have been to Kenya, you would understand the distance between Mombasa and Eldoret. It's a long distance. You know, by road it's around 24 hours, and by air you take 2 hours to reach Eldoret. That's where my child was taken, an autistic child. There was no visiting. The child was put there. There was no half term. He would be in school. He would put on tuition. And imagine he was just put on therapies. Therapies just for him to learn things to function on his own. Because anyway, if I have time, I'll explain more what autism is. But it's basically about therapies that he was being put in. So the judge felt like, they'll have to give me that child because there's no one who's taking care of him, and he was being abused in the house. So I got the custody of that one child. Then these other two, they said we have joint custody. The joint custody means that both of us have rights. When the kids are in school, they will be with the father. During the holidays, they'll come and stay with me in South Sudan. That's one thing that he's actually refusing right now. As we are where we are, and that's how I ended up being, coming out and speaking about it, because now I'm realizing he's not accepting any orders, he's not obeying anything. So that is where we are with the custody of the children.
Thank you so much, Ms. Yara Makwe, for giving us a brief of your story. Honorable Sarah Nyanath, you're welcome. We've already started the discussion, but just some few minutes ago, so you've not missed that much. I'll go to my second question. It will be a question to Ms. Anna Michael. Anna, as a child protection expert, listening to your story, her battle with custody of her children, it falls under child protection. Could you please explain to us what is child protection and why is it important for the community in South Sudan to protect children?
Thank you, Jocelyn. Yeah, child protection, by definition, when we talk of the discipline, it's the protection of children from any physical or emotional harm. As we know, physical, anything to do with direct torture to the child's body, any form of violence towards the child, that touches the child physically. And then the emotional aspect of the child's well-being. These all constitute kind of harm to the child. And it's also the protection of children from violence, exploitation, and abuse of any kind. We have child protection systems which help children to access social services and fair justice system right from birth. That is set and is to help for the benefit of the children. And the violence we talk about, it is the violence against children. As we know, it knows no boundary. It happens in every country, as we know, in the places where children should be most protected, whether it's at home, at school, in the community, online. Violence happens everywhere. So as we mentioned before, it can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be sexual. And we also have harmful cultural practices, which pose as another grave risk to girls and boys worldwide. Hundreds of millions of girls, for example, have been subjected to early marriage. These are all the kind of global kind of harm that is done to children. Therefore, South Sudan is not an exception. These issues are global. So such issues also affect children in South Sudan. Therefore, there is the need and the importance for us as well in South Sudan to have child protection on our list of priorities for the welfare of children. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Anna Michael. Um, I'll go to our next question, and my question will be to Honorable Sarah Nyanath. The question is, Sarah, what are the legal instruments in South Sudan that speaks about families, including children, and what are some of the key pillars in the Child Act?
Thank you, Jocelyn. First of all, I'm greeting everyone who is my colleague among the panels, and you, the moderators, and those that are viewing this discussion. My name is Sarah Nyanaselaja Young, as you have heard it, the Executive Director for Gender Empowerment for South Sudan Organization, stand as guest. Coming to your question, we have got legal provisions. We have got legal provision which I think are actually sufficient if they are being obeyed. If people compliant, the legal institution are compliant, and the citizens, families are in compliance with provisions. But the problem is that we may have the provision that are not being utilized is another thing. We may have them, but if they are not being utilized is another factor. So, and the other factor would be if people are aware of them, because you can't use what you are not aware of it. So if people do not have that civic knowledge, civic enlightenment of what are my rights are and what is the other partner rights are, then it becomes quite difficult for the victim to utilize it because simply they are not informed. Yeah, access to information is another key. In our transitional constitution, including even our interim constitution, both they provided for child welfare. First of all, the definition, who is the child in South Sudan? Our definition of child is anyone below 18 years. So anyone that is below 18 years should benefit from our Bill of Rights under the family provision and the right of the child under our Bill of Rights. So these are the things that the court, the judiciary now go and interpret them, because what is important is whatever has been provided first in the constitution.
Hello? Sarah, can you hear us? I think we lost her. There's a problem with the internet. So my apologies, actually. The question that I asked is supposed to be for Ms. Christina
Hello?
Peter, or she's back. Yeah, hello?
Yeah, we are back now. I think we are facing challenges with the network. So if you see in our transitional constitution of 2012, you will find it under the article 39, sub-article 3. It said that it is the right of the parent to care for and bring up their children. That is a right of any parent or any guardian. That is a right. It is a constitutional right, and this is to be interpreted and to be made workable or utilizable by the court of law, by the judiciary. You would also have an Article 4, sub-article 4 within the same article. Child shall not be separated from their parent or person legally entitled to care for, then against the will
Right. I think we're having terrible glitches. Um, let's. I think we'll go to the next panelist maybe to discuss the question. I'd like to apologize. Actually, the question that I asked was supposed to be for Miss Christina Pita, who's a lawyer by profession. So I will actually go straight to her question. Um, Sarah, is she back? No, I don't think she's back. So, Miss Christina, sorry for that, for the confusion. So I'll go ahead and ask you the question. What are the legal instruments in South Sudan that speaks about families, including children? And also, what are some of the key pillars in the Child Act?
Yeah, unmute. You can unmute. Unmute, please.
Hello, can you hear? Can you hear me, Christina? We can't hear you.
Oh,
You're back.
hello.
You can
It's just the network. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Okay, I think it's this. Okay, I was saying, Sarah mentioned some of the points, but then there's no problem. Let me just highlight some of them. It's mentioned in the Constitution under Article 39 that the government should enact laws that promote welfare of the family and then protection of the family. And then we also have Article 17 talks about the rights of a child, that the child has rights to grow in an environment that will develop the child, like what Miss Anna explained earlier. So regarding the pillars, the Child Act mentioned a lot, but let me just try to highlight. The Child Act mentioned in Section 13 rights to have knowledge and grow up in a family environment. It means in a situation where there is conflict or separation between the parents, one of the parents may apply for custody order, and then when grants that custody order, the child will still have rights to contact, to be in a direct contact with the other parent. So it's protected by law. It's the right of the parent to be in contact with the child. And also, we have a duty to report violation of a child rights. If the child is staying with one of the parents and then that parent is not like protecting the rights of the child, the other parent may raise a complaint against it to the court actually. And then there's also procedures when disagreement affects child welfare. One of them may apply for the custody, and then we have there are many, but then let me just try with the steps. If one of the parents who is granted the custody is not taking care of the child willfully, any person in the community or even the government can represent the child and then to raise a complaint in that regard, because the paramount is the best interest of the child. So the law gives powers to the court to look into the case and then to identify what is the best interest of the child. And that order, it's also mentioned in the Child Act 2008. It mentioned that that order can be revoked as well in case it's not like favoring the best interest of the child. And also, there are penalties. There are penalties under Section 30, penalty for violation of the rights. And then there's also penalty for not following what is mentioned in the order. And it's like if one parent is the one taking the custody of the children, and then is refusing the other parent to be in contact with the children, it's again violation of the rights of the other parent and the rights of the children as well. So the court at any time, they can review the order and they can revoke it from the person, and they can still conduct investigation to see reasons that they can revoke the order and give to the other party. So maybe this is few what I can highlight now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christina. I just have a follow-up question. Just from a layman's point of view, like for most of the South Sudanese women, there is a perception that a child belongs to the father, and when they reach a certain stage, a certain age, they're supposed to, like the age 57 years, they are supposed to be taken by their father. So, and listening to you, it seems that there are already legal instruments put in place that actually is contradicting this statement, actually, that is a child belongs to the father. So it is really interesting to hear, and it's very important that we have this discussion in depth for people to know exactly that there are legal instruments put in place, the Child Act is there, and there are some also international legal instruments that have been ratified by South Sudan. And people should not only look at it from, I would say it's more like of a rumor. I hope it's a rumor, and since we have child protection experts here, I will go back to Ms. Michael Anna, because the question is actually very close to what Christina has just answered. The question is, what are some of the national and international conventions on child rights? And has the Child Act been passed and ratified in South Sudan? You're muted, Miss Anna. You're muted. Please unmute.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Some of the international conventions on the rights of children, one is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which was enacted in 1989. And we have the African Charter, which was signed in July in Addis Ababa, 1990, and it entered into force in 1999. So there is now the Child Act, which was built on the basis of most of these international conventions on the rights of the child. We have other protocols and instruments from which the Child Act was built up. So there is the Child Act for South Sudan. This was signed in October, to be precise, the 13th of October, 2008, by the president of the country, His Excellency Salva Kiir Mayardit, and it was enacted into law. So it is actually a law that is already enforced and should be implemented by the country right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Anna and Ms. Christina, to just shed light on some of the legal instruments relating to child custody, child protection, and so forth. I'll go ahead and this time I'm moving to Nyamach. Ms. Nyamach, how are you? My question to you is, I mentioned it earlier on, which is, many South Sudanese believe that the child belongs to their fathers. Do you agree? And if yes or no, please explain.
All right, thank you, Jocelyn. South Sudanese believe, yes, that the child belongs to the father. But in this case, I would also want to differentiate between belonging and custody. You know, these are things that our people do not understand, because belonging, you know, when we have a divorce why do people come to the law and decide whether it's customary law or these modern laws? It's because naturally, I think the child belongs to both parents. Because if you think of it, I have a contribution biologically, the father has a contribution biologically, and then in the upbringing of children, I also have a part to play, and the father may be having the part to play. So I don't agree with the belonging issue. Rather, it should be custody of children, but not belonging, because children belongs to both parents. We have seen that when you're going to get your nationality, obviously your father's name will be there because that's your full name, but the name of the mother is usually there, whether they're divorced or they're still married or deceased or alive. Both parents' names are usually there. That one shows that the child belongs to both parents. So yes, I don't agree with the beliefs that child belongs to the father. It's rather the custody of children that traditionally, or even in our times of the modern, the life that we are in now, that children may be given, that the fathers may be given the right of the custody of children, but not just belonging. So these are the two words that I want to differentiate, that belonging is different from custody. Yes, I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, I just need some clarification. When you mean that it's not belonging but custody, are you trying to say that the custody of a child automatically belongs to the father? Is that
No,
what you're saying?
no. No, no, no. It's not, because there are so many factors that have to be considered when we are deciding on the custody of a child. You know, like traditionally in my tribe, where they said maybe if a man gets a wife, he give birth and he didn't pay, the bride price. Obviously, the child belongs to the mother or the parents or the paternal maternal side, if they don't pay the dowry. So that one obviously will omit whether you are a father or you, whatever laws you go to in the customary law, they will actually ask you that you did not pay the bride price, so the child belongs to the mother. That is in my tribe, But this one, they just think of the bride price. But I think, in my view, there are so many factors that have to be considered, because we'll just say that this man has paid the price, he married the lady, and then when they are getting a divorce or separation, the children belong to the father. This is what people believe, but I don't think that's the case. There are so many factors that have to be considered. Is this man able to take care of these children legally? Is he sound? Like, we have a lot of fathers who are drunkards, especially here in Juba, and you take your children with you. You don't have a proper and you get children are actually, even when they marry other wives. I'm sorry for this, but they can turn to be actually the enemies of your children. In Juba, recently, I heard from a friend yesterday who called me actually, and we talked about this issue that we are going to discuss today. And she told me of a story, a recent story, that the lady now is in prison in Gudela. It happened in Gudela, I don't know, last month or in late last year, that a man divorced and he had a daughter, and then he goes to the field, works in the field, and leaves his child with his wife, the stepmother of this child. So I don't know what happened, that this child has been beaten by the stepmother, and apparently lately, eventually the child died. So when the father came back from there, I think they put allegations that this child was sick or something, until the small sister, the stepsister, revealed that no, my sister was not sick, but she used to be beaten by my mother and her brother. So this child got injuries and the child died. You see, in these cases, this guy would have said, I wish if my child remained with a mother. So I refute the fact that people say they believe that the child belongs to the father or the custody of child should be taken to the father. There are so many factors that have to be considered.
Thank you so much. And it's really interesting that you mentioned that if a woman is not married and she has a child with a man, then the child does not belong to the man. And it's just a joke that sometimes we joke with some of our sisters and cousins, and we're like, you know what? I think I'll not get married. I don't want my dowry to be paid because I don't want someone to come and claim my children. So let me just go produce kids. That is because actually it's a joke, but it's a reality because women actually right now are fearing to get married for dowries to be paid because in case anything happens, then a man comes and claim your children. So I'm not saying disclaimer. I'm not. I'm not advising women to go and start having kids out of wedlock, but it's a reality that most women right now are thinking from that point of view because of what is happening in our country with regards to the traditional customs that we have. Thank you so much, Nyamach. I'll go to Sarah. Sorry, Honorable Sarah. You were talking earlier on, but due to some glitches, we were not able to finish the discussion. So the question is, should the interest of children be considered first in any dispute?
Yes, for sure. The children right has been provided, being the vulnerable one. Any age that is below 18 is still vulnerable. This physically, they are vulnerable. Psychologically, in mind, they are vulnerable. And socially, they are vulnerable. Security-wise, they are vulnerable. Economically, they are vulnerable. In all aspects, they are vulnerable. Yeah. And that is why our law provide their protection. And their protection, actually, you will find it in our transitional constitution, Article 17, where the right of the child has been provided. They are supposed to be protected by both their protection is a right for the state, for the community, and for the parent or guardian to ensure that they are really protected. Them having a right over the parent is absolute. Father has a right and the mother has a right. But then given the fact that, as Nyamai said it earlier, that our constitution recognizes, and that is why a constitution has to be reinterpreted into a workable, into a usable tools. Our constitution recognizes both statutory and customary law. These are the two laws that are interpreted. In some of our cultures, dowry are acceptable. In some families, they find it as a pride. Even if they don't ask the man with big cows or dowry, the one that marry want to show off. Yeah. In some is a pride. In others is a business. It's a pure business. Okay. So it differs from one family to another family. You find out there are some families, they don't even want to see their daughter close to the town, to the cities, because they just see them cows with horns, with certain colors, how many bulls they will get from that daughter. And one matter is not about her health or her welfare. It has nothing to do with them. And that is why you find that this protection is not only just about the custody, it is also even protection against those that are being sold underage. You find young girls are being, married. I believe even those of Yar, if I might not be wrong, maybe even they are part of those underage marriage. Yeah, if I hear she's already have 3 kids, she might have also been married off at a very young age, at a very, very tender age. These are where the laws come in. Some boys are being forced to marry, to have wives, or inherit a relative. The customs, certain communities' customs are so negative to a point that they are actually pulling our whole nation down because they want to impose it to the other communities as well, and others community would also want to adopt it. For example, previously there were no communities who would need to have dowries, but if, for example, if my daughter has to be married by a Denka, and maybe I come from let's say maybe from Pujulu, I would require, I see my daughter, she's beautiful, and I know that Dinka married 300 cows. Why not? Should I not ask that? I would ask it. Tomorrow, another one will say, oh, okay, if this is the case. Are you getting me? So you would find some of the boys as well, underage, they would be forced before the age of 18, maybe to inherit a wife of a late husband, a relative, to father, you see, subjecting this young child to a life that they should still be playing out there, enjoy their childhood, but being subjected. You find girls, the minute, even in some communities, by the way, for your information, when a girl reaches the puberty age, the first period she sees, even a dance has to be put so that announcement is being made. So that everybody know she's now ready to be eaten or ready to be filled up, robbing her from the right. And the unfortunate part, you would find even some of the leaders that are supposed to protect our constitution. I remember when this girl, Nyalu, she's called Nya what? Tell me, yeah? No, unmute your mic so that I hear her name.
She's called Nyalong, the one of
Nyalong, yes.
Yes.
I fought with some guys, and some of these guys I fought, some of them they are PhD holders, and there were some of the Red Army. I am a former child soldier who went to Cuba with assignment in the SPLA, and what we fought for is an equal freedom. We secede from the northern brothers simply so that we become equally important nation, not just only men, but even women. Yeah. Now, if you do business, for example, for me, I was married. I remember my first dowry was paid by our lady leader, Dr. John Garandamabir, to my husband. He was the first person to pay my 5 cows first. My father never seen those cows. We said, okay, let Madud hold them in Buma, because I was a soldier in the assignment. My parents didn't get it, but I was a liberal young lady, just to accommodate the tribal culture, so that maybe people don't say, this is a cheap daughter of a great man called Elijah Yonkier. She's like this. We accommodated that, but it wasn't about, the dowry. It wasn't about dowry. It was just symbolic. It wasn't about how much I should be married to. Now, the question was like, when we married, we don't marry because, because of what we are being sold for. We married because we want to continue our population. We need South Sudan, not the land. We need the people. It is the key. The key of South Sudan is for us to have the population, a healthy population. Okay? And it can never be a healthy population minus our men, minus our women, minus our children. Because what we invest in is our children. Let me tell you, in this argument of this Nyalong, I told one guy, if these rich men, and guess, one of the people was competing was a deputy governor. This is supposed to be a constitution protector. I'm bringing it up here because I know many people are seeing it. And yet the leadership, the judiciary, didn't even hold this man to be accountable. And guess, the man already have got so many wives, and he was showing off, with what he must have gotten from the government. The question would be, does he even have time for others' wives? If he doesn't have time for wives, does he have even time for children? Yeah. So in my argument, then I'm bringing you this, what I went through with this Nyalong case. I said, me, after I got educated, the amount of what I got, it is way, 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 way far from the dowry my father would have gotten, more than 300 cows and more than 500 cows. Through my work, through my knowledge, through my education, I managed to construct, my GESO and CMA, we managed to construct a PSCC in Daju. And this is something everybody is witness of. In that PSCC, 30 people was operated and 16 people, with ophthalmic cases. And 16 of them who were then blind was being carried by sticks. They were able to see again. Could 100 or 500 cows, reward us that? No. No. And today, if you go, because I come from a community which was then, what you call a fanatic tribalist community, which was then backward. When they saw, they would be like saying, oh, the children of, the daughter of Elijah Young, everybody want to become, to have a daughter like Elijah Young daughter. Now, as I tell you, very young girls are in my village. The rest are either in Ethiopia refugee camp, the rest are beyond refugee camp in Addis Ababa, and others even in Kenya, for those who are afforded. Those are even in Uganda. Others are here in Juba. You see, we become a very good, role models. A woman will be a good role model to her in-laws. For example, if Danya Long, was to be educated. Can you imagine going back to our area? How much number of schools she might construct? How many, hospitals and PHCC or PACU would she, beside her helping her in-laws, beside her, helping her parents? And by the way, I tell my sons, which including my nephews that I'm raising because their mom died and their father died, and they're under my custody. I tell next time you guys become men, you will marry men who are divorced, who are educated, not virgins who has no any investment. And I think this is the only way we can also, as ladies, we should begin to have a shift of paradigm in this. We should actually encourage our men and our families who are educated to avoid girls who are not educated. We better go to this divorcee who are educated. Like I can see, like I can see Yar, they are not divorcees. I will even direct my sons and say, these are the right women because an investment has been done. I can't be wasting, you know, thousands of dollars or thousands of Kenya shilling or Uganda shilling or South Sudanese pound to educate my daughters for other families to go and enjoy, while I go and bring primitive girls to come and give us headache in our family. It doesn't work that way. Thank you. And then now, to remind you, there are institutions that are there backup. You have got grievance chamber is a backup. Okay, you have got the Human Rights Commission is a backup. There are, you know, institutions that the government, you know, the laws has provided to back up our constitution. So if one fails, another one will come into our rescue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Sarah Nyamach. Thank you so much for touching on the best interest of the child as well as.
You are getting too.
Oh,
Sarah Nyamach and Sarah Nyana.
Sorry for that, Sarah Nyana. Thank you so much for touching on the best interests of the child as well as roles and responsibilities of parents and the importance of allowing a girl child to be educated. Thank you so much.
Unmute, Josephine.
We can hear you.
Unmute.
Oh, thank you so much. Sorry, I forgot to unmute. So I'll go to Yar Makwe. Yar, my question to you is, could you please explain to us some of the challenges you have encountered despite the efforts put in getting your children back?
Okay. Thank you once again. It's a beautiful discussion, and you know, I've been sitting in my house the whole day. My mind was just, but right now I think I'm opening up. So the challenges that I've encountered actually were the fact that the case is outside South Sudan, and the fact that when I was here, you know, the fact that we don't have laws that are put in place to protect our kids and our women. So the case being in South Sudan, first of all, it has, in terms of money and time, it really took so much from me. And it's just that I was working in such a good organization that were able, especially after I lost my child, I was really down. They saw how I was struggling. In fact, at some point, they had to reduce my workload so that I'm able to deal with the loss of the child, at the same time be able to attend the court cases. Honestly, that organization, I just don't want to mention their name, but they were a blessing in disguise. They were able to give me time, go attend my court cases, and still be able to come back to work, because that was the money that I was using to facilitate myself and pay the fee. So the first thing that I experienced was the distance. The thing was in a different country. The other part was the thing of the cultures. You know, like the way Honorable Sarah has explained it, you know, we are still very much behind. I remember when we went there, when things became hard, when the father of my children realized now he might lose the case, he started bringing the stories of, we'll go back and talk home. Something that was not even possible, because immediately he even took off. He did not want to come talk home because he knows here, I'm already grounded. I've already, I have space with my in-laws and also with my own people. Because you see, I put up so much to be able to stay with my kids. But you know, I was dealing with a very tricky guy. I was dealing with a very smart person who knows, who could only pick what could benefit him. Whatever that was benefiting him traditionally here in South Sudan, he would pick it. Whatever would benefit him in Kenya, he would go and pick it. So I found myself in between. So every time we would run to Kenya, he would say, no, we are coming back to South Sudan to come and have a discussion. We come to South Sudan for a discussion. Things will not be, he will not even show up completely. He will just say, I want 2, 3 things. And you know, I've just been put in a lot of stress in all this. And you see, one thing I've realized, our people also, because there was so much cows involved during my marriage, people did not want to go direct, because maybe at some point they will be told not to pay back those cows or what. I've never understood up to this point. So no one really wanted to sit down and bring the whole issue to an end. But in the process, I was the one who was suffering, because it's me who goes to bed at night, not knowing how my children are doing, not knowing how they're faring on. It's me who was feeling the pain, I've let my child die, and I wasn't there for him, as in I didn't fight enough. So those are some of the challenges that I've encountered. Financial, the fact that the case was in Kenya, and the other challenges were, I remember it reached a point now I was not being allowed to see the kids. So they involve in now the issues of the children's officers, the children's protection officers. They're in Kenya, they're there. But the problem, these are people who work with whoever has money. So sometimes this guy will go and manipulate them. So I would run to them, asking them to help me access the children. They will take me in circles until past working hours. Then after that, they'll tell me, madam, right now, we are not working. We'll look into your case tomorrow. Again, I will come back. You see, so I've been running really up and down, trying to look for people to help me access the children, to have the matter go ahead. It was really a challenge. Those are the challenges that I really faced so far.
Thank you so much, Yar, and yeah, we can only sympathize with you and what you're going through. I'd also like to mention something that Yar is basically speaking from her experience, and with regards to some of the challenges and the corruptions that she mentioned with child protection officers in South Sudan. So this is just a disclaimer that it's not from the South Sudanese Women Intellectual Forum, but she's just basically mentioning and explaining her experience with the child protection services in Kenya. Thank you so much, Yar, for telling your story. So my next question is to our child protection expert, Anna Michael. What can you say about the issue of custody of children after a relationship does not work between parents? Whose interest should be put first? Please unmute. Please unmute.
Yes, thank you, Jocelyn. So basically, I will be picking up from what my other colleagues have highlighted, Sarah, Yamach, and Christina. And we build it on what Yar has also shared with us on her experience. In a summary, when we look into issues of custody, the first thing that comes in is the best interest of the child, because it's about the child. So when we look at the best interest of the child, regardless of other situation, as we have been discussing, whether dowry or customary or cows, it's about that child. How does this affect the child? Again, it takes us back to the definition of child protection. We are trying to protect the child from physical and emotional harm. So issues to be considered before granting custody. There is a list of provided in the Child Act 2008, the South Sudan Child Act. So first we have, when we have to determine, we look at the wishes of the child. That's when we talk of the best interest. The child himself or herself, depending on the age, can be able to tell us, where am I most comfortable with who? They know best. Because when we look at all these laws, the Convention on the Right of the Child, the Child Act, and African Charter, and everything else, it is because we were trying to serve the children. So it is about the child. Then the view of the child comes first. Then we look at the sex and the age of the child, because not every child can be able to express himself or herself As we mentioned earlier, others could even not be able to talk yet. And then we also look at the applicant's ability and willingness to care and maintain the child. The sustainability or sustainable wishes of the extended family of the child, we look at that. And we also look at the wishes of any foster parent or any person who has had care of the child. We are looking at custody in general for the child, and under whom the child has made home in the previous 3 years preceding the application. In this case, when there is a separation or a divorce, it is obvious, it's likely that the kids were in the presence of their mother. And it's just natural, with the exception of very few cases where the mother herself can be an abuser. Otherwise, it is natural the child would be in the presence of the mother and would be more attached and accustomed to the mother, of course, together with the father, in the case that they were married. So we also consider any judicial order that has been made in relation to the child and whether that order remains in force. These are all background to this one. Then we also look at the circumstances of any sibling of the child concerned, of any other children or any other children at home. We are building up on this background as we listen and we see the experiences that we go through. When we look at all this plus many other concerns, we are building around the best interests of the child. So when we say the divorce or separation or nullity, in all cases of divorce, separation, or nullity, both parents shall continue to be responsible for the maintenance of their child. Legally, should be in that form. And then in separation, divorce, and nullity again, there shall be joint consultation between parents in bringing up their child where circumstances permit and wherever it is possible. Like the case that we are now having in the background as we look at this situation, this should have been the provision right from the beginning. And that would be actually the basis also from where the law would take off. But when we have a situation where these two, there is no agreement or there is an intentional denial by one side, then we advance the case to the court. So at the court now, especially like for our case in South Sudan, then it looks at what our law says about this kind of situation. And good enough, the Child Act doesn't do anything different from what is supposed to be done, as we have already mentioned. So the court would pass judgment based on the analysis and the evaluation of all this kind of situation that we have been discussing. But in summary, what I would like to say is the best interest of the child is what is paramount. And in a situation even where the parents who are not married, as you mentioned before in a joking manner, yeah, the father has up to 7 years to try and make an effort to come and claim and request for custody or even to share the responsibility of the child. But if the child crosses to 8 years, beyond 7, then now that takes the court again to analyze and to look into. And of course, the court with their technical expertise, there are so many things they look at in the process of assessing. But the interest of this child comes first. Like if we have an example, as mentioned already here, where the father takes just because a child should be with the father, and the father gets married to another wife who may be an abusive stepmother. And just because we have said customary or traditionally, the child's place is with the father, and this child is experiencing this kind of situation, it already constitutes a crime. It is a violation of the right of this child. And this element of psychological and emotional harm, it comes into effect because such a child will definitely have issues right at this stage and beyond. Because when we look at children and we say any person below the age of 18, and even coming down to children of a tender age, maybe 0 to 5 or around 10, all these are very delicate human beings. So the environment in which we put them in is really a critical issue. We need to assess, we need to really confirm, especially we as child protection actors, our government, and even the laws we have in place. It looks into all this because we are trying to make sure this child is well taken care of and protected from any future harm that comes to this child beyond this stage in life. And to conclude, there is a common saying that in any situation of divorce or separation of parents, it's a common saying that the child that goes with the father suffers other than the one that goes with the mother, because by nature, the mother is like that hand which protects her children, can do anything. So even if when she gets married, in most cases, as you mentioned Ali and Sarah mentioned, women naturally, that's how God built them. They have that defense mechanism. She would do anything to protect her child from any kind of abuse. So just as an example, of course, it's not that it's always like that. While doing the assessment, some few mothers have been also identified to be abusers due to so many reasons. It could be alcoholism, it could be many other factors that can also contribute to that. But generally, that's what happens. So the child interest is the takeoff point when we look at issues of custody of children after separation. Thank you.
Yes, hello, can you guys hear me? Sorry, I've been having a bit of internet issues. Can you hear me all?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you so much, Anna, for answering that question in depth. It's really, really helpful. And even if, like, some of us are lawyers and protection officers, we can still learn. And there's a lot of things that I've learned actually today from some of the things that you mentioned. Thank you so much. And I hope people out there who are also facing issues with child custody, child protection issues, are also learning and are listening to what we are discussing today. I'll just want to remind our viewers that feel free to drop comments, concerns, or anything that you want to be addressed. And there's one question that was asked, and I'm really sorry to ask you, Yar, but some viewers have asked for you to explain, to just narrate how your child passed, how your child died. So if you don't mind, please.
Yeah, can unmute him.
Okay, I will try to explain it. It's something I'm still struggling with. Yeah, I'm still struggling with it, but it's okay. I'll try to explain it. Yeah, in the course of my battle for the custody, I ended up losing one of them. That was my third child, my third one. He was a boy. His name is Ajang. He died when he was 8 years old. Yes, Ajang died on the day of his first brother's birthday. They were taken out for a celebration. I was not there, and I usually don't talk to them. And even up to now, I don't talk to those kids. So that day they went out. That was on 22nd, because my firstborn was born on 22nd of November, 2009. That was actually my wedding eve. That was the same day I got married the previous year. So they went out. They were on a swimming pool, and I remember that day. It was on a Sunday. I woke up and I was feeling something, something heavy was like sitting on me. I would wake up and try to do things. I was just not okay. I remember I went to church. I came back, and when I was there, even I was almost knocked down by a car when I was trying to cross the road to get to my car, then come home. Then that day, it was just by God's grace, I think. One of the people that was with them gave me a call for the first time, and it was a video call. So right now, if I look at it, maybe it was a way of God wanting me to see my child for the last time, because I was not going to see him again ever alive. So I saw them on a video call, and then I saw all of them that were there, and that was the end. Then I was told later that he has drowned in that swimming pool, the last place where I saw him. Yeah, he drowned in a swimming pool that day. So I was hearing that from my kids, from my child now. What happened is that they were in the swimming pool, then he just slipped away from their hands. They don't know how. Then now my firstborn, because he's very caring, he knows how to protect. Because he was having vision problems. He couldn't see properly. So he went and he came back, and then he was asking people around, where is my brother? I can't see my brother. Where's Ajang? That's when now people realized that this boy is not anywhere. So they started looking. But now he was able to raise alarm that the boy was not there. So they started looking, and at least there were some Kenyans who were there. They were swimming also in the swimming pool. So they went, and one of those kids went and stepped on him when he was.
Be strong, be strong. Yeah. We are here to help you with your case. Be strong.
So one of those kids went and stepped on him when he was in water, when he was already down. So they went and they removed him, and then he was taken to the hospital. And that's how we lost him. He died in a swimming pool in Kenya, in Mombasa. That's how I lost my child. Yeah, and then I remember that evening. Now, okay, there was no one, of course, who informed us as a family. So some people came to know about it in the social media. And at that time, my phone was off, because maybe I think God was trying to protect me somehow. My phone was off. I didn't go on Facebook or something, and I went to work the following day. So in the morning, I realized my uncle ran out to my office to go and inform me. Then when he was there, he found one of my in-laws. He's a very good friend of mine. He realized that I was not informed, so he ran to the office. So they got hold of me and they told me the news. And I remember we came home, they took me now, they brought me back home. I remember that was now on Monday. That Monday evening, I remember my in-laws, they came home. And they came and they told us that they were going to bury him on Wednesday. I know that was the height of Corona. There was that time, the lockdown was just uplifted at that time, I remember. And that was the time the test would take like 2 days for it to be done. And you'd have to go apply for visa. So I realized I would not be part of my son's burial. So I did the same thing. I had to rush to court and stop the burial, because I knew he didn't that time. He didn't care whether I'm there or not. I'm like, no, I can't be away from my child for all these months, and then I end up not even seeing him for the last time. So I had to go to court. And you see, the good thing with the Kenyan system, it was stopped immediately. They said that even the hospital will give instruction not to release the body until the mother is there. In fact, I remember that day when we were picking him for burial, I had to sign documents for him to be allowed to be taken. So that's how I became part of my son's burial. I had to go through the court. And actually, I had wanted, to finish everything at that time, because I knew at that moment, if somebody can even want to punish you, even during death, to be honest, I knew there was nothing left. I knew I had to fight. And in fact, I remember that time when I came home, even for those people who came to our house, I was down, honestly. I couldn't get up. I was just lying down on the floor flat. And I remember when I heard that my child was being buried on a Wednesday, trust me, I don't know where I got the strength from. I got up and I sat up. And immediately I got a phone call and I called my lawyer. And I told her, please, this is what is happening. I want you to go and stop it. And at that time, I decided I was not going to cry. I don't even know why I'm still crying. Maybe because I was never given even time to mourn. So I decided I would not cry. I just wiped my tears and I sat down. And I wanted to follow up this case until I finished. But you see, the South Sudanese, the usual thing, people were on my neck. Why are you going to court when people should be mourning? But no one was able to see the fact that I was being stopped from not being part of my son's burial. No one was able to see that. The only mistake the South Sudanese see, and especially the Dinkas, is the mistake of a woman. People were on my neck. Why are you in the court? People are not seeing the fact that I'm being restrained. And in fact, up to this point, these people who are saying that, their cultures are what? There's no Dinka culture, or even South Sudanese culture for that matter, that stops a mother from seeing her children. You can chase her away the way you want. You can do whatever. You can even have the children. But still, she has a right to sit there and see and visit her children. She can come and visit her kids. Me personally, right now, I'm not allowed to see those children, even my own people. And that is why finally, when they realize this thing now is all of us, that's when they said enough to support me. I would go to his house. And in fact, the restraining orders, they were very clear that I should not be anywhere near my children. Me, my agent, my relatives, my friends, anybody that is close to me should not be anywhere near the children. That's what the restraining. So this is a person who was very clear about cutting me and my people off from the life of my children completely. It's not for the fact, and you see, people will run. You now as a woman trying to help yourself, trying to be your children, trying to fight for your children, they see that you're the problem because you were bored. And in fact, I remember even when we were in the court, he kept on saying, now that you're here fighting for the children alone, if I go back to your people, will they be able to pay those 200 cows that I paid? And I don't know how many dollars. Dollars that I've never touched with my own hands, cows that I've never seen, that now I have to suffer for it with my children. I never even drank from that milk if it is the issue. I have no connection with those, me and my kids. And right now, it's me and my children who are suffering, not those cultures that are put in place. So really, if there's a way that these things can be changed, I know there are no laws here. And I would really appeal to the government and any agencies are there. We have to look into family laws. Things are very clear. Me, if I was a Kenyan today and I was in Kenya, I would not have lost my children. I would have given, in fact, Kenyan laws, they were the Kenyan system there, they were very, very lenient with me. And the only reason why today I don't have all my children with me is because I don't stay in Kenya. But if I was in Kenya and I was working, trust me, I would be with my children today. But because I'm here, I cannot support myself if I'm in Kenya with those children. I need to work. I have to be here. That is why. So those things, they need to be looked into. Because women are suffering there. For someone like me, at some point, I decided to sacrifice my life, my happiness, just to be next to my children. But no one allowed it. I was still thrown out by force. I was still pushed away by force. Because even our cultures, those cultures that they keep on referring to, those cultures that they're using now, to take our rights away from us, they're not even being followed. Because our culture says clearly that you cannot divorce a woman of 4 children. And I remember my mother-in-law really fought. At some point, she was beaten by her own son because she was fighting for me. Because she said that you cannot chase away this woman. You have people, you have to kill me with her. We were chased away like dogs with that woman. And those are her own children. And do you know why she fought? She fought from her knowledge. Because at her time, you cannot chase away a woman with 4 children, even if she has done what. The only thing you can do is just leave her alone. And this is why she kept on fighting. So things have to change because women are suffering. Me right now, at least I'm better. I have people like you who are standing up for me. I can really at least stand up for myself. And at least because I fought today, that is why my autistic child is with me. is with me right now because I was able to fight. He will not be beaten now by people. He will not be dumped in a boarding school somewhere very far away where he's never visited. He's now with me, and I know how he's doing. No one will abuse my child when I'm there, when I'm watching, unless I'm not there. So these things have to change. The way we are doing things as South Sudanese, the way we are taking rights, the way we don't consider we are doing things in a normal way, and times have changed. It's not going to work because if you're going to solve family issues using the traditional methods, it's not going to work. Time have passed. These things have been surpassed by time, honestly, by events, and there's nothing that like that. And these people, these the same men that are there, they're also running to other laws that is going to benefit them, and they come and pick what will benefit them from the South Sudanese laws. So things have to change. I don't know, maybe I talk too much, sorry.
Yeah, darling,
Okay.
I'm really sorry for what you're going through. You're very strong. I've been with you through all these years. So we are really sorry. And just know that despite what you're going through, there are many of us who are out there to support you. I would like to ask any of our panelists if they have any words of encouragement to our sister Yar, as to go ahead and say something to her.
Okay. I would first just to tell Yar in person that my condolences, even if it's late, as the English says that better late than never. But you have been an heroine. If wasn't that you are this strong young lady, young woman, you could just be suffering in silence. We have actually women in millions, and there are millions suffering in silence. Yeah. But you have decided to cause others to benefit from hearing your case. Losing a child is never easy. You carried it, 9 months, not just easy 9 months. You have gone through that morning sickness. You have gone through it all, through labor, pain of breastfeeding, not having comfortable nights when even you needed it so that you raise that life. It can never be, equated to anything. You know that child better. You know that child better. I am not saying that the father is not as important, but there is no way that bound someone else, not even your mom, not even any other, but only you, Yar, knows it, how important it is, and that child knows how important it is. Your 9 months, your labor pain, your breastfeeding, all those are yours. These are your rights as a mother. And I begin to wonder whether this man and his young wife, because I believe the wife that is with him, I would be seeing her as a bad sister. I'm sorry to say this. I'm not being a prejudice, but passing prejudice on her. But indicators are, if she is a woman that has got a motherly heart, she would even be advising this man who is now loving her to warn him and tell him, my dear, this is not the way we have to treat this mother of these kids. But I could see, maybe her also being part of that game, of that bad game. The man loves you. The man lived with you and gave you 4 kids. So why is it that this hatred in the last minute, when she is in the man's life, they are indicated? And this is when even court should even be more concerned, because she is coming in, and she may not be coming in good faith. She's coming in with not building a family, a healthy family, but rather being selfish. She's a sister that is selfish, and her selfishness now resulted in her losing this innocent, life because of dispute. The kid is caught in between. We are not saying that we are life protector, but at times when it happens in such circumstance, we can always point a finger. Now, what you would do, because you were given, the court gave you the custody, the right of custody of children during their holidays. And the court passed the verdict of you having the right to see the kids. If this man violated my sister, This is where you collect the peace. If you want the court now, because the person or the person that is not being respected is not you, but rather the court. The court that passes that verdict, you need to go back there, prove to them that this is what the man went and decided by violating the verdict, what has been passed, the agreement. So this now will backfire on him. You think he's clever? Show him that you are more clever. And by the way, I would say that honestly, you being proactive is better. Don't try to be defensive. Normally in court case, it's better you are the one being proactive. You take the case in first, because if you are the one who are appealing first, the court will hear your case more than the other. Okay, because you are the one with the issue, who raised the issue, who raised the case. So you are the person who opened up the case. This time, collect your document, the sentence, the judgment that was passed by the same court, you take it there. And let the court be the one now summoning him. And let him come and confess whether it is true, what you have reported, the case that you have filed against him, or not. If it is proven that is actually violating, you now have the right to say, look, since this guy now, the next step we don't know. Because even by the time when the case was passed, I believe maybe before the child was dead, the child died later. Is it true or not? Just by checking your head. Yes.
He died while we were still doing the custody. So by the time the judgment was passed, he was already not there. So it was passed only for the 3 kids.
So which means that the death of the child helped in court seeing that there must be, a fault that might be at play. Now with the man attitude, by denying you visits and your right of the time that you're supposed to be spending with the kids, then even the court will have to look at those, because the death of the child is not a natural death. A fault has been at play, yeah? Because if the child was just found under, water, drawn completely there with a brother who has got the vision issues, then which is the elders that should have been paying attention. How sure are we? Somebody might have even literally, and if the pool has got people, when the child was gasping for air, could have been crying, and people would see, unless maybe somebody, I'm not accusing, don't take me, but at least, courts are people who will see what are probabilities, there is probabilities that can make anybody think beyond just a child just drawn there. Because even for a child who don't know how to swim, how did it get in the first place? And how come that the child was not even screaming, when it's gasping for life? Huh? All this would have been things that could be questioned. And now that the father is refusing you even to visit the kids, and even denying you to talk to them, that these are indicators, maybe there are things that the father is afraid you may learn from the kids. It is abnormal. It is completely abnormal. Now, coming to our culture, as you said it, by the way, there is so much positive things of our culture that are being abused today, not because people borrow them in other community, because if you talk about modern world, the modern world, if you go to Ethiopia today, we have got Nuer women there. By the way, they already talk with their head high, when even they don't know A, B, C, D, E. Because the law in Ethiopia, okay, these are the Nuer Ethiopia. Because the law of Ethiopia gave a mother that right, gave that child that right, and these laws are being respected at all corners. You misbehave, you don't provide for the wife, for the mother, and the kids, the government, the institution will cut your salary right and give them to the mother. God will just tell you like that. If you see today in our culture, back home, in our real culture, tell me which man will have no farm or have a house for his, thatched grass house for the wife and the kids, or have a lot of cows with the milking cow in our, original, typical our culture. And which man will be going around, longing around in other people home, become a loiterer? Tell me, he's going to give stories, or is not in his farm, or is in his lot taking care of his cows. Do we have it in our true cultural life? No. You will find, if it's a farming community, you will find a man spending more time in the farm. And by the time he comes, he would be so exhausted to go in whose house, with which men. But today you find our men in clubs, in hotels, in between homes, in under the tree, drinking tea 24/7, 12 months in a year, in 10 decade, I mean, they have got no any program whatsoever. A shame. And these are supposed to be the head of the families. At the end of it all, they will be saying, men, we are men. You cannot ask because I'm the man. Tell me in which culture? Is his father, when he was, if he's a man or a man who has got cows in the village, has he ever seen his father coming late in the night after 7 or after 6? When his cows, nobody attending to it. But here they will say, this is our culture. This tells you is somebody who have gone in a background of real culture. Because our culture, I remember my father has got cows. My father, there is no way my father can come at 5 home. My father always come between 4 and 4:30 because you have to make sure whether all my brothers are at home, whether the calf has been taken care of, has been given water, and if there is a cow that has gone lost, has been searched, and all the cows has been returned and taken to drink and has been tied down. This is something that my father will take care of while my mom's has to see. And there is no any single mother of mine that will have no house. And there is none of us as daughters or sons that will be going to loiter around because we have got a loitering father or a loitering mother. But nowadays, you find our men shamelessly, when you come, they come at around 8, you ask them, Baba so-and-so, that is if you are lucky for your men to come at 8, you ask them, they will tell her, now you are growing horns, you think this is America, you think that you are a white woman now, you don't behave, when he's actually lying. When he's actually lying. Now we are being intimidated, we are being threatened. In the name of that, there is a culture when it has nothing to do with culture. In our original culture also, a girl cannot be married underage. A girl has to know, because by the time she's being married, she will be married by that family as an ambassador. She will know how to make, the things that a woman has to do. When there is when there is a hunger, she has to know how to go and look for grain from a far land. She's still a girl, she's able to cut her grass for her to defend her children in case she married and the husband died at a younger age. She will be able to protect her family. Nowadays, they marry, these little kids, these babies. And that is why nowadays you find so many single mothers of one parity or 2 parity or 3 parity, just they're all over. They just go, and the next thing even how to address, how to talk. They are still children. They behave children, they talk children, they think children, because they are not yet mature. Yet we claim it is our culture. By actually destroying our rich culture. Our culture is so much rich that it is so, it is something that why our constitution recognizes, because our culture has got a very, very rich culture. It's a very rich culture because it is ancient. It has all our family like this with descent. You can't find somebody just insulting somebody. You can't just find somebody eating on the street or going to drink tea on the street. A man with a family, with a wife, with tea at home, taking pleasure, being out there after 2 a.m. He is a man of a house. Where is the house? The house is the street or the house is the home? And there you find another street lady there. Then they start, who doesn't know also the importance of the family? And here they bring it for you who think that a family should be born. Who's the head of the family? Even the Bible, even Quran, the head of the family is a man. How do you recognize the headless family when the head is just somewhere else and the body is somewhere else? How does it coordinate? You cannot be a head minus the body, and the body cannot be a functional without the head. This has to coordinate. It has to coordinate. So here, I thank you, I congratulate you, and really I compliment you, honestly from the bottom of my heart. You have been strong, and your strength is not just only about you. It is actually about so many South Sudanese women, and what's even for widows, because now you find like young widows that you remain, where I stay, there is a young lady from Bor. She told me last year her history. I really just felt so bad, because, and she feel like our prayers backfire from that family. Immediately, the husband was very able, they were in love, then unfortunately the husband died with the accident. The next thing is that everything that was belonging to the husband, people just came there, his immediate brother came and just took everything from, and telling her, who are you to even talk? Who are you?
When you are the wife of this the work that you have done together with your husband, this is the man with the children with you, and then somebody asking you, who are you? Honestly, because they are losers, they can settle their own life. Now they are becoming, like as if they wish that the brother to die so that he can come and now and take over the wealth of his own brother. And immediately have done that. The guy later also ended up with an accident. And today I understand that he is actually remain now disabled. He has paralyzed. He's alive. Now he's paralyzed in a way that even he cannot even romance his own wife. So his wife now is being taken care by someone else. While is a husband by name, but is not husband in a real husband thing. You see? So sometimes when curse come, this week that is just ending, I was talking to one of the guy who is trying to help some orphans whose father died, their mother died, but because now the girls are 3, now the uncle just sees this girl as a resource and they want them in the village. So that they go and abuse them, go and sell them, because now they become a free gift of a shop to go and sell them. Now the first daughter, I mean the girl, the elder daughter, she's refusing to go to the village. And she's telling these other people who are trying to force her to go to be taken to the village, that over my dead body. She's here in Mangaten. Kids that has been in Nairobi, who have been in Uganda, they have seen the world, they have seen the life. But now, after the death of their father, they are subjected to unnecessary life. And I was telling them, if you want one thing that will go to court, I'm not relative to them, but I know them because there was a time when they were in my house for at least about 3 months. I said, I am going to take this case. Of course, they will be saying you are not a relative, and the father and their uncle is direct brother of their father. Who even beat that woman while she ended up in Kenya and Uganda? She was beaten until her jaw was broken. Can you imagine? So to a way, the violent label was deadly, and she has to run with her kid. How do you allow such? What would you expect if this kid ended up in such a hostile and a violent man? It will mean basically you are allowing this kid to go to their grave, because definitely they are just going to die. I say no. This case I'm going to raise it up because I know the nation have the right to protect such vulnerable people. You see, so for this I commend you, because you are raising this, and so many people are watching now, and they will continue watching this video. So take courage, and I believe the women, especially those who are dealing with women affairs, especially the case, you need an advocate. Advocacy work is needed. An advocate that will raise this case now, that this man has to be dealt with once and for all, so that we can show him the power of a mother, the power of woman, the power of a citizen, the power of family, those who love to have South Sudan family being reorganized, because otherwise we are becoming a failed nation, because we are failed families. Where do we head from here? If we have got a structure of family, then we will definitely have no nation. We are better off when we build the families, so that with this, we build a nation that is built on integrity, that is built on love, that is built with people who are normal, who are not emotional, who are not traumatized. People who have got positive thinking, people who love each other, who value the life of people, who have life for others. If you see the killing around left and right, all the crime that is happening is because we are failing at the family level. We don't value human life, the human dignity. We don't have them. And this is, if you can see it from a man, you
I'm
are
just doing
honestly,
I'm
I've
doing
gone
a
too
time
far, but
check,
I'm
Honorable
touched,
Sarah.
I've been touched. Thank you. This is the way I
Thank you so
cry,
much.
by the way. That is the way I cry,
Thank you
because I
so
had
much.
my tear. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable Sarah Nyanath, for the encouragement to our sister Yar. Do you have another person in the panel who would like to say something to Sarah? If not, I'll just give you 2 seconds. If not, then I think I will move to my next question.
I think you just need to move, Roslina. We are behind our time.
Yes. Okay, so I'll go to the next question. I'm not able to see Christina Peter. Are you there?
She went off.
Can you hear us?
She went off.
She went. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then I think we'll skip to the next panelist. My question is to Ms. Nyamach. Nyamach, do you think our community are usually biased when deciding on which parents should take the custody of children in case of divorce?
Yes, and I would say that's a big yes. You know, there's a lot of biasness when we are deciding on the custody or which parents should actually take care of the children. That is biasness, and this biases come because of these traditional practices, and actually even the gender roles that are given to women. You know, women are given mostly domestic roles, where they actually, in most cases, they didn't have activities that were generating income. So automatically, you know, traditionally, I don't know where the origin of these things come from, because we even see in the Bible that most of the time children are with the parents. You see, so the biasness is because I think the communities or those traditional laws believe that a woman, you know, and this one starts from the fact that we bear our father's names. You see, like myself, I'm Nyamach Hoth, and you know, so that one automatically they think that because these children bear the father's name, then automatically the issue of belonging come in, and they think that the children belong to the father, you know, without considering the interests of the children. The other fact is that they are biased because people think that women cannot raise children, but in the reality, women raise children. Like for my case, I'm sorry, just to correct my aunt. She's my auntie, Honorable Nyana. I'm not divorced yet. I think she's also not yet divorced. She's separated. You know, she's not divorced. I believe that. Yeah. So for my case, I was not raised by both my parents in my childhood. You know, I was raised actually by my auntie in Khartoum. I went a series of people from my maternal grandmother to my paternal grandmother, and then later on, I ended up in Khartoum with my elder aunt, the sister to my dad, and I stayed with her for more than 16 years until I finished high school. That's when I was rejoined. You know, during the CPA, that's when I was rejoined with my parents. But my aunt, she was a widow, you know, and she raised she had only one child, but she raised eight of us or seven of us who are today very stable. We have our families, we are working, we finish our education, and she was a single mother, you know. So our people believe that women cannot raise up children because of some financial issues. But nowadays, that's not the case. And I see that even at the moment, women are more, you know, that they contribute even almost equally with men, you know, because we are working. So that biasness is there, and I think these are biases that really need to be broken, you know, because of that issue of belonging. So I will still stress that the communities, the traditions have to know that there is difference between child custody and belonging, you know. So the big bias is that children belongs to the father, you know. So that one is actually a fallacy, that all these children they belong. When we are going for DNA test, if my mom's DNA is taken, and you know, I will be proof, you know, that she's my mother. The same thing. I genetically I bear 50% of my father's genomes or genetics, and then 50% of my mother. So these are equally, even biologically, they have equal contribution to me. And I think also that one should be even socially, and as honorable mentioned and Yar mentioned also, that our tradition, you know, my parents actually separated when I was really young. I can't even remember how old I was. And I also hear the stories when I was being given to my father, you know. And the other bias is that, you know, for women, like when you divorce, you get married, and these men will never want their children to be raised by other men, just like the way as women we feel unsafe when our children are being raised by other women, you see. But for me, I did not feel what Yar went through. I did not go through, and I don't think my mother went through, because I remember in Ethiopia she used to come home. She visits me. When she comes home, I will be called that your mom is there. We'll be in a room with her. We talked. You know, she will even ask me how I'm doing. Did I eat or all this? You know, so I felt like, yeah, the distance was there, but she was still, until I was separated with both of them in Nasir in 1992, I think. she used to come also to visit me, my brother Yuan, who is in Australia now, and my grandmother was there, and she used to cook for us. She cooks for us. She brings us food in the house, or else she cooks. I remember she used to have a restaurant, and then she will take us, to her place. We go and eat. We spend the whole day with my brother and my auntie Yantud and my uncle Bang. We go and eat, we spend the whole day, and we come home. So I did see what actually Yar's children or herself is going through. After the CPA, I came back also, and I remember, when I reached Nairobi, because I was in Khartoum, I reached Nairobi in June 2005, and my father came. We actually went with him, and he was actually traveling to South Africa. So he called me and told me, Yamaj, this is money. He gave me about, I think, $300. He gave me the money, and he told me, look for anybody to take you to your mom, because by then my mom was in Toposa land in Kapoita, and he told me, go and look for her, and then you'll come back and do your other courses after you see her. So you see, this is a right that he knew, traditionally, that the mother has the right, of that visitation, which is actually Yar is supposed to be having, So I know, yes, the children automatically will say that the children goes to the father, but so many factors, and the child interest is not usually put in place. I never experienced those things in my life, seeing my parents, fighting on who should. My mom would even come until when she died in 2019. She comes home, and when she comes home, she's manyamad in the house. Everybody knows her. She's given a special place in the house because she's my mother. You see, she's my mother, and she was respected for all this. So yes, biases are there, that children belong to the father. There's big biases, and our tradition are actually being twisted. They are really being twisted. We have a polygamous, culture where, our, especially the Nilotic tribes, you will find a man having 50 wives or even more than that. But you see, the divorces were not even that much. Even separations were not that much. As Yar said, or Honorable said, that when you fed up with a wife, you can just build her place. In where they say tugwil, kashumbet bita fulan. Even that lady, if she's divorced, she will obviously have kashumbet, bab bita bed down. It's usually there, and the children, because the children bita marada, they have the right. Even the wife sometimes will even have the right because of her children. So yes, there are big biases, and our communities are actually biased, and they are deviating from our traditions. Back to the
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, Namaj. And indeed, some negative people in the community are using culture as a way to deny women their rights, and it's high time we continue with such discussions in order to change people's perception, people's opinion on child custody, in terms of customary law and also statutory law. I know traditions are there, and it's really, really hard to change cultures. Sometimes it takes centuries even for certain aspects of culture to, to disappear. But then we are not going to give up as women. We are going to continue this fight. We're going to continue this war, and we're going to continue supporting Yard in fighting for custody of children in whatever way she wishes us to do that. Thank you so much. My next question is to Anna Michael. Anna, I'd like to ask, what are some of the challenges facing the work of the child protection experts and organizations in ensuring that children are protected in South Sudan? As Yan mentioned earlier on, definitely she's also dealing with some child protection officers in Kenya. Could you please just explain to us some of these challenges that people of your kind do experience?
Thank you, Jocelyn. Yeah, we obviously have challenges, and as we have been hearing, it's not that our country, South Sudan, doesn't have laws to cater for all what we have been discussing and listening to. We actually have laws and laws that are detailed, laws that are rich enough to give the women the right kind of support that they need, both women and men. Let me not be biased, to give the children the right kind of justice system that they will need to have in a situation like this. We have it documented in our laws in South Sudan, but the challenge is it's not being implemented. That's why we have issues. I remember we did a number of dissemination of the Child Act. You go, you do workshops, you talk to people, you try to explain, you distribute the Child Act itself for people to read. Of course, God knows how many might have read and acquainted themselves with the content of that one. But just as what we are hearing from my sisters here, we have other factors, of course, that really hinders maybe the implementation of such. We look at the customary codes that we have, which most of our communities depend on. So the legal structures that are there, like the statutory courts, if they are well equipped and with the right capacity and stretching all the way from the national level to the county down to the Payam and at every stage where the community is and would have access to, our situation would change because we have the bigger backup, which is the law itself. We have our constitution of the country. It has said a lot. Sarah has highlighted a lot from there. We have had so much about what is already in our constitution and in the laws that we have in the country, but we don't take it forward from there. Its implementation is the biggest challenge that we have. So with this, we can keep on rotating and having the same complaint and same issues coming up. We need to advocate for the implementation of the laws that we have in our country, for the protection of children, their mothers, and all the parents. Another challenge that we have is child protection is heavily dependent on human resources. As you can see, everything we have been discussing, it involves a human to human. It's about human resource. The people to come and give the support and many other of our sisters in this situation, the people to raise awareness in the communities, the people to reinforce those. It is heavily dependent on the human resource. And this is why we also need the support of our government to have the human resource with capacity, well-trained and people with the knowledge who will not just take the role for the sake of doing it just superficially. People with in-depth knowledge and well-built capacity to be able to give support. Like our sister, Yar, if I can use her as an example, we would have so many already rhyming behind her if we had so many who know what is supposed to be done and at what point, and would come in with confidence that now this is the time, this is our work, we need to step in. She would get all the kind of support that she needs. We need also, we have the challenge of having paralegals. Like Yar has explained to us the challenge she has gone through with the limited resources, especially financial. These kind of issues, when it involves the court, the law, and so on, it is heavily dependent on financial resources. So if she can deploy a lawyer, at least the state or our government, if there was provisions for paralegals who would come in to give support in such kind of a situation, she would have a lot of other support behind her. That can even go across the border, not only to be limited within South Sudan, they can as well approach their counterparts in Kenya to just look into details of the situation of this mother. And not only the mother, but actually the situation of the children, because I keep taking it back to the best interest of the child. We don't know right now what's the actual psychological situation of these children. Nobody can tell us in this panel. Are they really happy? Yes, they can be given all the clothes they need, all the food, the cakes, the ice cream, which is not in Juba. But is that what these children really want? Is it the ice cream? They need something more than that. And it could be nothing but the mother. So these are challenges we face. We also have the challenge of the political will. For example, the budgeting, when the budget is being passed for the country and so on. As earlier mentioned, I've been in this profession for over 20 years, working with UNICEF in child protection. We always advocate for the budgeting for children. When the budget of the nation is being passed, how much is really committed, just specifically to say this one is to support child protection services. And these services, of course, there is a variety of them. Let me just take a mere example, just the most basic. If the social workers from the ministry want to follow up issues of abuse, maybe a small child is raped, is tortured, is abused somewhere, for them to just be transported to get themselves there, they may not have the means. Even the police, a case can be reported. They want to get there to attend to it. They may not have the means. So we need to really have that will there. We need to take this as a serious commitment to budget for children, budget for the implementation of the laws that protect children, budget for the support of the structures and the institutions that need to protect children. We have police, we have all these law enforcement bodies, but we need to commit to train them. These are all challenges. Someone can be holding a desk somewhere and may not have the detail. Sometimes we would come across even saying, have you ever heard about the Child Act? And somebody can be looking blank. And this is the basic instrument, the basic weapon, I would say, in that office to hold. So there is some kind of negligence, and it's a big challenge for us. It makes the life of children difficult. Then we have the support to the relevant institutions, as I've already mentioned, and also where we have the human resource, the social workers, the Ministry of Gender and Child Welfare. It could be among the least funded ministries. And when they have some funding, the budget is there. Most of that budget would be for women, because those are adults. They can shout for themselves, they can talk. But for the child, how much goes there? For this human being who can't say much for himself, he needs another person to do that. How much resources do we put there? The social workers, they need motivation. They need support, good salary to motivate them, to have means of transport, to be able to have more, to be more committed to do their work. Some social workers, just like by nature, they have the passion, because I always tell people in my trainings and stuff, this job, it's not the job that can be measured by the salary you get or by the salary we are given. It goes beyond that. It goes deep into us. The feeling, the passion, that real sacrifice as a human being for another human being. But most of them, they leave this job because the reality of life is different. They need to also get where they can get something more, something better to sustain their families, to educate their children, to feed their families. But this workforce, we really need to give them the support they need. The social workers, the Ministry of Gender and Child Welfare, all these bodies, we need to. In some of the police stations, the special protection units, these units needs to be supported. They need the resources that they need to have in place for their work to move on. This makes all the challenges that we face. And finally, the other challenge is these issues we always have with the customary court versus the statutory court. Some cases need to be attended to, need to be addressed by the statutory court, not by the customary court and these traditional courts. So we have the harmful traditional practices that we have had a lot about here. When we take to our traditional court, it could be supported there because they don't look at it in depth and looking at other side effect of this kind of situation. So if we leave it at that point, then it is another harm to the child, and this is a challenge for us. It is high time we now come together. We create the balance between this. We just make everybody to know where is his boundary. It's not that we are disregarding any of these structures. They are all essential. They have their role. They have their bit. We need them. But people should know, where does my limit, my part end, and the other one takes over from there. These are some of the few that I can highlight, which really it poses a great challenge for us when it comes to implementing child protection services and the provision for children. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Anna. That is, you're so rich in knowledge when it comes to child protection, and I really admire that. Thank you so much for touching on some of the challenges as well as recommendations to be put forth. We are running behind. Actually, time is almost over. So I would go directly to Yar. Yar, sorry, I had muted, sorry. Yeah, what support would you like the women and the government and well-wishers to give you in terms of the situation that you're going through right now? Please unmute.
I think for anyone who is in my situation, or any woman that has found myself in this situation, the best will always be if you get the right support system. And honestly, that's what has kept me going. That's what has kept me today to still be standing and still continue with the fight. I would really ask if, because right now what I'm experiencing a lot is a financial aspect. Because when I started this case, it dragged on. I stayed in the court for 2 years. And in the process, I was having a business that I was running. It had to collapse because I couldn't now buy any new stock because I was using the money not to facilitate myself and the court system there. I mean, everything that was required, my lawyer, my accommodation and all that. Then it reached a point I had to sell my car and everything. So financially, it really took a toll on me. So now for me, again, to go back to court right now, it's really a lot. And that's what even is really very, even at least before I was able to run it financially, it was okay. But right now I'm finding it hard. And also I have this other child that I'm taking care of, which is also another thing. So financially, honestly, I would really wish if people could really help me with that. The other part is I would really want the prayer warriors. If they're out there, pray for me every other day. This is just not a simple battle. I want to do my part, but I also want God to do his other part. So if you can help me in prayers, I would really appreciate. The other part, the government, if there's a way they can change these laws, I might be dealing with it today, someone will come and deal with it tomorrow. If they can change our laws so that, it favors the child and everyone that is involved. Because at the end of the day, they will look at the interest of the child. That because right now our laws, people are relying on the traditional laws, and some people are not even respecting, because our traditional laws are tied to the fact that people have to go and sit down as a family and talk. People are not listening, because right now the way I see it, the only person you'd respect is what is touching your pocket. And some of our elders that are supposed to solve our problems are depending on those people who are having the problem. So how would they sit down and tell them directly this is wrong? And later they're the guys who finance them. So it's really difficult. This guy, we need a situation where if worse come to us, a woman is able to move to court and she's able to get her right there. Because if the elders are not able to bring up, because these days, honestly, everything is all about money. It's all about whose pocket is loaded. And if your pocket is loaded, automatically you become right. The other weaker part, you suffer there in your poverty, and no one cares. So the government should really come up and set up a very good family system laws, and they should be passed. Because I've been there, by the way. Like when I was going through there was a time I was sent to Ministry of Gender, but the first thing people will always ask me is, where's the family in this? Well, for 3 years I've been following up with the family, and nothing came out of it until now. I ended up now in the court. So that is the kind of support that I would really wish to have as I speak.
Sorry, thank you so much, Jar, for that. Sorry, I was having some internet issues, but I got quite most of what you said. And with regards to financial support to YAR, there's a GoFundMe page that has been created. Unfortunately, I can't find it right now. Later on, maybe pin it and post it on this. It has already been posted in the South Sudanese Women Intellectual Forum. So in case if you have any $1, $5, whatever it is, anything that you can afford, please let's support our sister. Just go to the page and you'll be able to donate. So yeah, we're running behind time. So before we move to the closing remarks, on behalf of everybody, the team in South Sudanese Women Intellectual Forum, I want to say thank you to all the panelists for accepting our invite to participate and share all the knowledge, the skills, the experiences in relation to custody of a child and the parental responsibility. I'm going to go straight away to ask our panelists to give their final remarks and recommendation. So I'll start with our dear Honorable Sarah Nyanath. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Itaron. I hope, did I pronounce it right? Sometimes it's good to...
Yes. Yes.
Well, my remark would be, our society, it is up to the women to create their own space. And I don't think just in our society, I think it's a human nature for us to have that space that is that we desire. It is us to create it. And by doing so, I would say, let's go out there as women. The key power first would be information. Let in time when women are having coffees, let's share that there are these laws. You be the sister's helper, be a sister helper. Let them know that there are actually legal provisions that are there protecting us. By the way, if you go in the village, you will know women are suffering. Like I won't mention one of the places, but a place I went for 1 month, my heart every evening just like kind of bleed, because I will hear, hey, left, hey, in the front, in the back, like every evening there is a woman, 2 or 3 crying that I can hear, and they are being beaten physically being abused. And this by itself affects even children. You find a mother being beaten in front of their children. The fear, the emotional, impact that will have in that child is great. I've seen women who lost their teeth because they've been beaten to a point that they even has to lose something in their body or broken. or been boxed to a point that they have got an impact on the brain that affected their performance in life. This is important for us to know. The only power that we would have is for all of us to emerge together. It won't be just few of us, we can win. But the only way is for letting every woman to know that their own protection is by them knowing what are the legal provisions that are there to protect them. One. Second is that, as we can learn from here, from Yar's case. By the way, Sarah Nyamaj earlier said that our traditions, traditional courts, normally judgment or verdicts in most cases against women. But trust me, only women who are poor, who come from poor families. If you come from a powerful family, you are respected. So the factor, the economic factor, play also a role. Don't forget, those who are supposed to be custodian of the law, they are the primary abuser, violators of the very law. And we cannot overcome them if we are not equipped economically, we are not equipped, with the knowledge to be able now to tackle them. So these two factors has to, and of course, we have to find a way on how we are supposed to network. We hear one, we make noise, we throw our voice, let us all hear and let make, that impact. So that only few will not be the one being burdened, but all of us, we carry that cross, all of us as sisters, as women, as mothers. We are here to protect widows. We are here to protect the orphans, because even as you look currently in this war that goes around, those who are affected in rural area that are being killed, where you see most are children, those who can run anywhere, women who have got no any education background to run to other countries to seek, for new life. They are left in the villages, and they are the one being fall short of, those crimes are being committed against them, the rape, the recruitment of their sons. So really, we are here to be the sisters helper. So my message for all of us is that South Sudan, even biblically, South Sudan has been given to women. Whoever can take it will like it. Whoever will not take it will like it. You can go to Zephaniah chapter 3 and go there. You will find we, the Kush women, we are the one actually that is going to save this country. And we will not save it as ignorant. We will only save it if we are enlightened. So even biblically, this country depends on us. Our families depend on us. Our sons and daughters depend on us. Our mothers, the elderly who cannot run, they depend on us. As you can hear, Nyamaz was sharing with you how at the tender age when the father was at war, the mother stepped in, praise her. You see, even our elderly mothers who can run anywhere, they depend on us. So we have got a lot to carry around, honestly. I normally like to talk a lot, but this is the much I can share for now. I hope this may not be the last, but otherwise it's the beginning of us each time coming to share. And we should also have an inventory of cases, because even as we lobby for laws to be changed, we have to cross-check on the laws that are there. We analyze them, why they are not working, and if they are there, if they are not there, how we can ensure that they have been, the one that we desire has been ratified. It's called what? Has been included into the laws, because now even the development of the constitution is on the process. Let's get in there. Let's ensure that our issues are being involved there. Let's get in there. Let our voice be heard. So this is so that we make the difference. We make the impact. Okay. Thank you. And finally, we need also a commission, a special commission for women. 35% affairs. We cannot just say 35%. We need a commission that should address this thing specifically for women and children. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And yes, this is not the end of us. We'll still continue with these discussions until people will be tired of us. We'll continue shouting, we'll continue talking about women's rights, children's rights. Thank you so much, Honorable Sarah Nyanath. I'll go straight to Ms. Nyamach Hothmai. Please go ahead and give your final remarks and recommendations.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jocelyn. Uh, for the interest of time, I'll just put some points, my last remarks. The first one is going to be, whenever a divorce, because I'm a Christian, I'm a strong believer, and we actually in the Bible we don't encourage divorce. Actually, Jesus said it's not. So, but if people are considering divorce, whether in the court or where, they have to put first the interest of the children. I'm one person who has gone through that, and I experienced. And by the way, when I was in Khartoum, like when I was in my high school, I started writing. I used to write like my notes, putting it down, and I had an idea of writing a book on how divorce affects children. I started putting up some notes and all this. Then after I finished my high school, went to Khartoum, to Kenya. There was now a change of language and transition, and whatever I had on a paper that time, they got lost, and that one made me actually to stop the issue of writing that book. But I think I will still need to come up with it. So we have to look into the interest of the children first, rather than just saying that children belongs to the father and give them. There are many fathers who are very good. I know traditionally they will even support their children. I'm a product of that. My father loves me so much. I never went through anything. Even when he got married, actually, to our stepmom, she took very good care of me. I remember I was 5 years that time, even though I didn't stay with her for so long, but she was caring for me so much. By then, she was also, I will even say she was a child because she was under 18. So we have to consider the children interest. Number two, our government need to implement, if there are laws like Anna said, those laws have to be implemented. We need, they need to have some budget for all those things that Anna has said earlier on. And then, we need to speak up as women. If you're going through that, if you did not speak up, nobody will know. Actually, for me, I'm a close friend to her. I've been in church, and actually there are so many things that she has not even spoken that we know about all this issue. We have been praying for her. Even as she was going actually to Nairobi in January, we were having fasting and prayer, and she told us, because she had to live in the midst of our fasting and prayer, and she told us, guys, this is a situation, pray for me. She When we prayed, but God also has his own ways of doing things. So we need to speak up. We don't need to hide behind the bars. We don't need to sit down, because your rights are not given. You have to attain them. You have to fight for them. Nobody will fight, because we have seen her case. They have family, her family, the family of the man, and the threats that are given. And most of the time, the families will fear, especially the family of the bride, because let me tell you, when we are married, even myself, I'm married, and I've seen how, when some people meet my husband now, they will tell him, the husband to Nyama, I'm the uncle. I was given a cow. So those cows that were given, they are not even with the father. The father, maybe he got like 10, the mother maybe did not even get, because they are usually given to the clans, and nobody will have those ones. So sometimes women are being forced to stay in those marriages, not to divorce, not to do this, because the family will not be able to, or not in a position to pay back the cows or the dowry that was paid. So this one also give the other side, strength, that, strength, but nobody will come in. So we have to speak up. Our tradition and customary laws, at some point, some of them protect women. So I want to tell the South Sudanese that we don't need to deviate so much from them, because we are now in transition. We don't know where we are actually, culturally or traditionally. We don't know where we are. We don't even know our identity, because we are in the middle. I remember where, when they were saying the bride price never used to exceed 50 cows. I heard that it was somewhere around 45 or something like that. But now it's not the case. People are asking for 120, they're asking for 300, like those other people who have been doing that. So are we really still in our traditions and customs? Because we are violating them somewhere, and in other cases we come and say that our tradition says this, while we are not even actually in those traditions. we are in transition era where I don't know exactly where we are. We are not in those days where things used to be done, and we are not in the present time. So we are somewhere in the middle and kind of lost. So these are the remarks that I will give. And for all the women of South Sudan, please, if you are a believer, please pray for your marriage, because there are so many things that sometimes as women may be actually the cause of them, may be actually the cause of these things. So we need to take care of also our marriages and see a mechanism on also how to solve conflicts within our families. Every house has a problem. Every couple has a problem. We have a lot of issues, but we need to find strategies also to deal with our marriages. For the case of helping Yar, which is a question that was to ask because of our time, if there are people who really can help to get Yar a job in Nairobi, this is my suggestion myself, to get Yar a job in Kenya, because she wasn't given her children because she was not in Kenya. She's in South Sudan. And the Kenyan government was looking into this issue. It's framed that South Sudan doesn't have good schools. My children have been here. And let me tell you, even my daughter who just graduated from nursery school, she's not yet in primary. She can read, you see. But now outside there, a bad image is sent that South Sudan doesn't have good schools. That's why these children, the custody was given to their father. So if there is a way that we can secure a job for Yar that can take care of her and her children in Kenya, I'm sure the Kenyan government will be ready to give her the custody of her children until a certain age. So these are my remarks that I was just to give us. And I want to encourage Yar that you carry on a fight. It's called a fight, because when you want to get something good, you will always have to fight for it. You have to fight for yourself. You have to fight for your children. We have known sometimes she will be so broken, and we come in and we'll tell her, yeah, you don't need to sit down. One of our friends was even telling me Yar should not cry. Yes, these are emotions. He said Yar should not even cry, because when she cries, these people will see that she's already broken now. But you are very strong. Continue, and God will give you justice one day. Thank you so much, Anna, for having us, and I really enjoyed the conversation. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Nyamach. Yar, the floor is yours. Can you give your final remarks?
Okay, right now at this point, I think I just want to thank and recognize some people who have been with me in this journey. That is, first of all, I just want to thank my family. They have really stood with me, honestly. They have really done their part. They've done more than enough. I would thank them for that. And also my in-laws. You see, majority of them really stood by me. The few people that were there who were frustrating me were those ones who actually who actually used just for us. But majority of them really stood by me, and I'm grateful for that. I will not take it for granted. I will also thank even my own kids. Sometimes they're there. Mom is not there, and they're being told stories about me. But whenever I go there, they see me. They just know I'm their mother. They will still love me. They will still hug me. They will still, tell me, Mom, we still want to be with you and all that. I also thank them for that strength. I want to thank also my church, especially Pastor Paul and Mama Sarah. They've really been with me in this for prayers and everything that they've done to me. I want to thank my friends. That is your Mangar, Achol, Jurkuj, and Anyar Matwam. These three that have been with me, honestly. I know some of them that have taken bullets literally for me. They were fought, a lot of things were done when they were stood by me. I really thank them for that. Also, and I remember when I came out publicly about this, the first person that honestly reached out to me was Jocelyn. Jocelyn was more than willing to do whatever it takes. She was willing to give the money that I needed. And I thank her for that, honestly. It's not an easy thing. It's a sacrifice. We are all of us, we are all struggling financially with one, two, three things. But, for someone just to put down their own issue and carry yours, it's not an easy matter. So I want to thank them for that matter. I want to thank my other friends, Vicky and Alangi, that have also been with me in this. You guys are a blessing. And to be honest, trust me, as I'm one woman who everything was thrown at me at once, not one thing, and I had to take it all on. And the only reason why I took everything like that is because I had a support system. And I can never take that for granted. So thank you guys. God bless you. I just pray that each one of you, whoever that has stood up for me, even this forum for having brought me here, I also thank you for that. I just pray that no woman will ever go through what I went through as a mother and as a wife and as everything. I just pray that none of you ever go through that. Not even that woman that is also being used to frustrate me at the moment. That woman that is comfortable with my children and she's not saying anything about it. I also don't want even her to go through that. Because you know it's the same man that murdered all of us and anything can happen anytime. I pray that she also doesn't go through it. So thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Yar, and thank you so much for having the courage to come out and speak publicly. It takes a lot. Not so many people have that courage. Not so many people have the voice to speak and fight for their rights. So thank you so much. Through your stories, there are so many other women who have gone to my inbox also to tell, like just to narrate some of the stories that they're going through. So whatever that you're going through is actually a blessing to other people. It's a voice. Other women are also trying to speak up and ask for support from their fellow women. So never keep quiet, never suffer in silence. There are people out there who are listening to you, and there are people out there, even if they'll not support you financially, they will support you with moral support, as much as I've heard from your church goers. So please, we are behind you. Last
Just
but not least,
just one more thing. I forgot to mention something.
yeah.
It's about the Ministry of Gender and Social Welfare. I know I was with them there was a time they were told by the court to do assessment on me, and they did it. So it was so quick. They did it so fast, even with all the challenges. At some point we didn't have internet, and they had to be part of the court. They honestly did it for me, and I felt that I was supported, especially to a lady called Selena. She's very active woman, she would come, do everything. She was supposed to do assessment in my house and all that. And she did it so happily. And I'm grateful for that.
Oh, thank you. So thank you also to the Ministry of Gender and Child Welfare. That was actually an awesome job from their side. Last and not least, Miss Anna Michael, please, your final remarks.
Okay. Thank you, Jocelyn. Yeah, I think my sisters in the panel have highlighted most of the key areas we need to look at. I'll just run through a few. First of all, I would like to really appreciate this forum, to appreciate you personally, Jocelyn, and the whole administration of this forum. We are grateful for this initiative and also for the stand that you have taken to stand behind our dear sister here. So, Yar, I will tell you, and as you have said, you have the faith, and maybe something needs to change, but one of us had to be picked to be the one whose example would be used to move things and to change things. It happens for so many things and change that comes about in the world. Sometimes it takes one individual, and then the whole reference, the books are written, history is written with reference to that person's story. That's why today we can hear of Steve Biko, hear of so many other people. Maybe for South Sudan, it's you here. But I really commend you for your courage, for your faith, for the strength that you have, and also my appreciation to everybody else who has stood by your side and behind you. We all have you, even before meeting you, though virtually, just upon hearing your story from other sources, it was already touching enough. And many of us already had it in our family prayers in the evening. We would talk about you and pray about you even before hearing your story directly. So you're not alone. You're not alone. We are all behind you, and there is a reason why you're going through this. It will be over, you will win, and it will be smiles and laughters. Just have the faith and the courage. And for the general recommendation, I will again, it has already been highlighted, but just to put the emphasis on the support that we need to have our laws being implemented. We can't take this lightly. We need to have it in place, because once it's out there speaking for itself, the rest will just move on. We just need to go quote this, highlight this, show this, and then the people are doing it. We will have a better environment for the children, for their mothers, and all the families. And also, we need to have established structures all the way, as we mentioned before, from the national to the county to the Payam, all the way down to the Boma level. We need to have the structures that is committed and also with the capacity to be able to look into these issues, to address them, to refer them, and do the right thing. We need to concentrate also to focus on the issue of capacity building of human resource, capacity building of the institutions, so that they will be able and capable of taking up this kind of issues that we are debating about. The issue of capacity building should be really essential to all, not only our government. We can't leave the burden alone to the government. Those of us also who are in other sectors that can do something. It can be the humanitarian, can be the NGO, it can be, we can all make contributions in different ways. Even just one-to-one, we can build our capacities without going through the formal structures to do it. Like today, I'm sure many out there, including myself, I've learned a lot by being on this forum. I've learned a lot. I've heard so much, and by tomorrow, I will be an addition to what I was before I came to this. Let's also put effort into this one. The other bit is the establishment of partnership. We can't do this in isolation. The government can't do it in isolation. We, the humanitarians, we can't do it in isolation. Women can't do it in isolation. This is where a collective effort needs to be put in place. If the government can build partnership with the churches, for example, I'm talking of churches because I'm talking of South Sudan. Churches, they are mostly there, and the people, especially at the grassroots level, most of them, they are really close to the churches. So the church can do a lot. Why don't we formalize the relationship between the government and the churches there? We build their capacity, give them the required resources, the trainings that they need, so that these kind of issues are not just a one Sunday part of ceremony by the bishop, by the priest, by the pastor, people this and this. No, it should be structured and embedded within the program of the church, program of all the other actors. We need to have it in a systematic manner and well structured for it to work. Otherwise, it will be scattered. We talk, we say this, we highlight this, but with nothing concrete that can be really used to address something or to make a reference to. The next one is the issue of the customary courts and the customary laws we have. With all due respect, I'm not against these. Some of them, as you mentioned earlier, even Honorable Sarah mentioned, we do have even some of our traditions, of our cultural rules, or what do I want? Some of our culture, even just to put it general, some of them are good, very positive and rich, which even part of it was borrowed even for the development of the Child Act and the laws that we have, because it wasn't done like in isolation. While this was being written and everything, the discussion, the conferences, these aspects of our cultures were also discussed. So we promote the one that does the right thing and promotes the protection of our children. But the one that is an abuse to them, then we work on it together to address that bit of it. So we appreciate our customary courts, our traditional leaders, and the laws, the customary laws, but let's have the balance in place. We have experts who can come in to help us create these balances so that we work as partners for the good and the benefit of the children. And the next aspect I would look into is the aspect of advocacy. We need strong advocacy. We need awareness raising in our society, in our communities, in our families. Sometimes these things can happen out of ignorance, including the very person who would be doing such a thing. It could be out of ignorance. But if people are made aware and know their boundary, that no, when it gets to this, the limit is here. It's not about being a father or being a mother. There is a limit somewhere. We need to, and when it happens, this is what we need to do. A, B, C, D should be done to address this kind of situation. We can get to that one by raising awareness, having strong advocacy. A session like this has been an enlightenment to so many people. We have to pay attention to this one. And finally, I will end with a special request. We have not made a decision and we are not condemning our sister who is currently with the children of ER. We are not passing any judgment, but I'm just appealing to her if she can be one of the advocates as a mother, as a woman, if she can feel the pain of ER, if she can put herself in the shoes of ER, she can even go on a hunger strike in that home and say, my husband, much as I love you, if you can do this to ER's children, tomorrow might be my own children. It might happen to them. If you can do it to ER, when my turn comes, I may go through the same. So let her also show the solidarity. And I'm very happy and I really give salute to ER. She said her heart is clean for that lady. She prays for her not to experience the same. So let our other sister do the same. And I will finalize by giving this example like what our sister Yamach mentioned. Some of us, we went through that one also. We grew up with the stepmothers, not with our two parents together. I remember after the court, just like what South Sudan does and in those years and so on, immediately, no matter how young we were, the court gave us to our dad. And yes, he went, he got married. But then she had that heart. She would, that was difficult and so on, but she would always fight. When he goes on safari, she puts us in the car. When it is school break or something, does shopping, everything, she says, let's go to see your mother. She would come to my mother and say, Mary, I brought your kids. If I can encourage you being deprived of being with your children and seeing them tomorrow, mine may go through the same. And they will be there with my mom, gossiping about dad like nobody's business. They would be just there laughing and being like sisters. And these are cowards. And I remember when she was traveling to Juba to deliver her firstborn, our sister. It was early in the morning. The trip started, I think, around 4 a.m. And it was 5 a.m. It's still dark in South Sudan. On the way to Juba, she told the driver, we can't proceed to Juba without passing by the mother of these children. We were all with her in the car. She came, knocked the door, woke my mom up and said, Mary, come and pour cold water on your children. Let your heart be clean. I don't want to go with your children and they get accident, they fall sick, they go through issues because you are not happy. And it was something up to today. May her soul rest in peace. We really appreciate her for that. She did a lot to make sure that opens the way for our mother to have access to us. So my appeal to our beloved sister there, do something for your fellow sister. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.
I was laughing to Anna when she is appreciating Yar. Yar said that she prayed for. If it is me, I would only pray fire on her direction.
Fire thunder. Oh my God.
That's so nice.
It's a wrap. It was a very good discussion. Thank you guys so much for accepting our invitations to come and participate in this discussion. I know you might be having a lot of other duties that you're supposed to attend to, but you made time to come and share with us your wisdom, your knowledge. So we really do appreciate you. Thank you so much, and have a lovely weekend. We can gossip after that, afterwards about the fire.
Yes. Yeah, it has been a great day, actually. It has been a great day
Yeah.
seeing our young
Thank
Yar,
you so
beautiful
much.
as the way she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, at
It's
least we
great.
made that to laugh.